Hi Cancer, welcome to your week ahead horoscope with me, Raphael from Reydiant Reality. It's an absolute pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for joining me. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose and it resonates, hit that subscribe button. If you are already a continued subby, you know I love you for it. My lunar brothers and sisters, if you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can do so on the website addressed below. And before we start, as always, I would like to bless all of my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance, and I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise and they help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So, this week, very interesting message. The first thing that I saw was a crown, and I was like, okay, so that's what that is, believe it or not. Right, and I saw this crown and I was like, okay, that's cool, and it was made of like all of these red crystals, and I was like, okay, so that's interesting because it suggests, you know, that the color red is about survival, it's about you know, passion, but it can also be about anger. And what I then saw, what then followed, was the Queen from Snow White and the Huntsman. Then I saw Daenerys Targaryen, and then I saw Snow White from the Huntsman, and I could see like it was kind of like shifting back and forth between these characters. Now, interestingly enough, Snow White represented the, you know, like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, whoa, okay. Snow White represented the purity, right? The pure of heart, the ruler who was for the people, who was truly a good person, a good-hearted person. Daenerys started out that way, you know, and the power in the end corrupted her, and I think maybe the hurt and the pain that she'd endured throughout her life twisted her, and she kind of lost it and became, you know, this crazy woman that burnt down the whole castle and everything. And then the Queen from Snow White and the Huntsman was just pure evil from the offset. But even she had a past now. And when you see it, it was actually very sad. Now, what this kind of says to me is that this week, in some way, shape or form, you are going to have the power in your hands. The crown represents the power, it represents the status, it represents the elevation to something beyond quote unquote normal. And this week, in some way, shape or form, Cancer, you are going to be given the power. The power that you are given, it could be knowledge, because knowledge is power after all. The power that you are given this week has the potential to really destroy somebody else or something for somebody else. However, look at that, right? And look at the messages and the examples that I saw. In doing so, you could end up destroying yourself in the process, right? And I know that's a really heavy message, but I guess what I'm saying is, this week you could learn something, right? We've got Mercury retrograde in Scorpio. It's in full swing now as well when you look at the dates, right? You could learn something and you could think, right, now that I know that and this person did this, this and this to me, I'm going to take them out. I'm going to let everybody know. In the process of doing that, the backlash is one aspect of it, but the other part of it is you would know that you did that. And sometimes what really eats us up or damages us in life is that we know what we've done. Nobody else might know about it, you know, and this is why, and this is a really, it's Scorpio season, so I can talk about this stuff as heavy as it might be, right? It's like murderers. When they murder somebody, they got away with it scot-free, right? Nobody knows it was them, nobody's onto them, but the conscience starts to, you know, this is why you get people hand themselves in after that. And I'm not saying it's anything as heavy as that. It could be that a secret this week is divulged to you, and in some way, shape or form, you are being given the power, you're being given the lightning rod, I guess, right? Or even you're being given the crown. In some way, shape or form, knowledge that you have or gain this week could really hurt somebody else. And it could be a person that has really hurt you in the past. But in doing so, like I said, it will be you that knows that you did this. and that could wind up really, really coming back to haunt you at a later date. It's kind of like, you know, it reminds me of the meme. There's a meme out there that says, oh, when you put a spell on somebody when you were angry and now shit's going down, and it's got this little Kermit the Frog like, oh my gosh. You know, you've got to be really careful with what you do with your knowledge, with your power this week, Cancer. Your destiny card is the Hierophant, right? So again, look at that. Playing by the universal rules and regulations this week. It could be something of an official nature. I advise you this week to really stay in your integrity. Don't lie about anything. It's not a time for that, because the chances are it could really backfire. All right, just keep that in mind. Whatever power you do have, use it the right way this week. Your direction card, the 10 of Cups. Right, and the reason you want to do that is because if you do so, there's a lot of healing that can come from this. If it is about a person, open up a dialogue, right? Really find ways to be the better self. 10 of Cups is beautiful because as a direction, it kind of suggests that your path is blessed, that you are taken care of, that you're looked after. So you don't really need to use this in that way. And if you don't use it that way, of course, what happens? You become the Snow White. Right, do you see what I mean? It's kind of like a personal metamorphosis this week. There are a lot of blessings that could happen for you this week as well, Cancer. Some really truly beautiful moments, maybe even some moments of deep insight about yourself. Don't sully them by trying to take somebody else down. And then you've got the 9 of Cups as well. I mean, this is really interesting. For me, it's really interesting because you have that message there as that. This is a week of true blessings. This is a week of, you know, how are you going to use your power? You know, it's almost like if you won £1 million, would you, you know, ruin that amazing event that had happened for you by, you know, then spending 500 grand to sue somebody that had done you wrong 10 years ago? You know, do you know what I mean? It's a poor example, but I'm sure you get the point. It's a really interesting week. I really feel like this week as well, for those of you that have had issues of a legal nature, for those of you that might have been struggling with paperwork, getting something official, this could be the breakthrough week that you've been waiting for. You know, and it could be that maybe you had an ace up your sleeve that you said, right, you know what, if this doesn't happen, I'm going to come forward with this, or I'm going to do this, this and this. This week, don't do it, right? Don't shoot your shot, because you won't be able to take it back and it might backfire. As an example, it could be that maybe somebody wants to bless you, you know, and you kind of, by putting that energy out there, you block the blessing anyway that was coming. All right, it's a really interesting week, very, very odd week. I'll be looking out for this in any way, shape or form. But your insight card there, it really does suggest that a rift can be healed this week. So, you know, find a way to utilize that energy rather than creating a further one. All right, I wish you an abundance of all of that good stuff. Have a fantastic week. Let me know in the comments how it shapes up. Obviously, keep it personal, private, because, you know, it seems that it is that way. Take care, and I'll see you soon.